Okay, so this course will be about data science. Okay, Python, how to use Python for data science. Okay, so let me first explain what data science is. Okay, before we dive into the details, the nitty gritty. Okay, so what is data science? Data science is basically, there is so much data, in the world. A lot of data is being created every moment. Okay, there's tons of data, and then we need to make sense of that data. Okay, for example, companies, okay, they produce a lot of data, right? And then those data, uh, okay, so those data have so much, knowledge inside them. Knowledge, they have so many insights into them. So today, these days, big businesses, especially big businesses, okay, they run with the help of data. I mean, they make decisions. Okay, business people, the executives, okay, they make decisions based on, what the data is trying to say, right? So we need to analyze that data and then try to find, okay, what the data is saying. Okay, so and then based on that knowledge, that insight, okay, that we gain from analyzing those data, right? So the decisions are made. Okay, so now that's what data science is. Okay, so now we keep so coming to Python. Okay, Python is a very powerful tool. Okay, it's very powerful tool for doing those analysis, basically gaining those insights. So Python has very powerful libraries. Okay, especially those libraries are called NumPy, NUMPY, and then pandas. Okay, so these are very powerful libraries. Okay, there are others as well, but these two are used in almost every data science projects. Okay, so before we dive into the those libraries, first we need to understand some basic things. Okay, so basic things means we need to understand what object oriented means. Okay, so these days most programming languages, they are object oriented languages. Okay, so what do we mean by object oriented? So we need to first understand that. Okay, so Python is fully object oriented language, right? It has objects, so everything in object is an object. In Python everything is an object. Okay, so those of you who who went through my first course, right, Python fundamentals, okay, so they know, right, for example, integer, right, float, list, dictionary, all of these, okay, everything, those, all of them are objects. So we need to first understand what those objects are. Okay, so okay, let's try to understand what objects mean. Okay, so I'll share with you this note later on. Okay. So anyway, so I'll just follow this. Okay. So first we need to know what object oriented, as I said. So um, okay. So for objects, first we need. Okay, let's try to understand what class is. Okay. So objects stem from classes. First, let's understand what a class is. So as you can see here, see what I've written here is, see, class is like a blueprint for building objects. Okay, shortly we'll see what objects mean. Okay, so once you have a blueprint, you can make any number of copies of the blueprint, right? The copies of the blueprint are called objects. So it's something like this. Okay, okay. So to make to so that you can visualize, you can think about it. So think of it like you have an original copy, right? Some say you have some document, original document, right? And then you can photocopy that, right? You can make copies of that, as many copies as you want, right? Okay, so you have that. The original copy is like a class. Okay, the class is or your original copy, right? So that's like a blueprint. Let's call it blueprint for now. Okay, that's like a blueprint, and then you can make as many copies of that original document as you want, right? So the original document is class, okay? And then the copies that you make are the objects, okay? class objects. Okay, so okay, let's understand by that analogy. Okay, so let me repeat one more time. Okay, so it's like class is like a master copy. Okay, class is like a master copy. You don't want to lose it. First, you need to have a master. Without a master copy, you cannot make copies, right? So class is like a master copy, right? And then you can make as many copies as you want from that master class. I mean, master copy, right? Okay, and then those copies are called objects. Okay, I hope you understand. Okay, so now let's quickly see how we can create a class. Okay, how do we create a class in Python? Okay, so let me create a new collab. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me come here. So let me do new notebook. Okay, so let's create a new class. Okay. Okay, so right now it might not be making too much of a sense right now, but soon you'll see. Okay, soon it will, all make sense in a moment. Okay? So let me make it a little bit bigger. So for that, okay, so I want to create a class. Okay, I want to create a class called student. Okay, so what do I do? So the keyword is class. Okay, very easy. Okay, just see all of them are lowercase. Okay, so you cannot do like this capital C. Then this doesn't work. Okay, so this is keyword. Keyword means it has to be exactly what the Python execution engine expects. Okay, so class, and then we give the name of the class. So let's say the name of the class is student. So this is the master copy, as I said, right? So and then you put a colon there. Okay, and then you hit enter, right? Enter, and then see there's an indentation. Okay, indentation means the blank space, right? So we need to have at least at least a couple of spaces there. Okay, so this is called indentation. Okay, so this was covered in the first part of the course. So those of you who are new, you can go back to the videos, and then you need to follow all the videos, and it'll make it will all make sense. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'm just making an object which is just this which it doesn't have anything at the moment. So if I just run it like this, it will throw an error. Means it will give me an error, right? So I don't want that. So I'll just put a statement called pass. Okay, pass means do nothing. Okay, do nothing. Okay, so if I do this, then so let's try to run it. Okay, okay, so it's connecting. So those of you who are new, this is the Colab environment. This is the environment that you don't need to install anything in your computer. You just go to colab.research. Sorry, one more time. Colab.research.google.com. And then okay, so it's all explained in the videos that I have on YouTube, the first part of the course, right? So those of you who have gone through that, they know. Okay, if you for others, okay, if you want, I can send you a link later. Okay, all right. So see here now, I created a class. See when I'll run it one more time. Okay, see now I created a class. Okay, so this is a class, right? Now what I'm going to do is, okay, let's write another code. Okay. So one more thing. Okay, let's see. Okay, so okay, so I created that class. Now I need to create, so this is what? This is a class, right? So now I need to create the copies, right? So how do I create the copies, right? So for that, so I'm going to create a couple of copies, okay? So let's say one of my copies is student one, okay? And then how do I make a copy, okay? So how do I make a copy? This is how we do it, okay? So student one is equal to, right? And then the name of the class, okay? So then the name of the class, see, student, that's a class, right? And then, okay, and then we need to give the parenthesis, okay? And then nothing in there, okay? Just okay? Just say empty, empty parenthesis. Okay, so likewise, one second. Sorry about that. So now, okay, let me make another copy. Okay, so that's one copy, right? That student 2 is equal to. So again, I need to give the name of the class and then empty parentheses, right? So here I made 2 copies. So these are called objects. So I made how many objects? I made 2. I created 2 objects. So these are objects. Okay, let me write them here. So these are objects. Okay. So now let me go back here. Okay. So now if so I need to know what type of this. So these 2 are variables. See, string 1 is a variable, string 2 is a variable, right? So let's try to find out the type of the variable. So those of you who went through the previous course, they know that if you want to know the type of any variable, what do? Type, right? So this is a method, type method, and then let's try student 1. Okay. So if I print this, okay, or because this is the last line, so that means I do not need to use the print statement, or let's just use the print statement anyway. Okay? So it's not necessary right here, but still. Okay, so let me run this. See, it gives you, see, now this is a class. It says that this is a class, and the name of the class is student. See, okay, all right. So now let's see. Okay, now Python has a method. So okay, I'll describe method in a moment. Okay? So it has a method called ID, which gives us the location in memory. Okay, so where those variables are. Okay, all right. So what I'll do is, so let's just do this print. Okay, and then let's do ID. Okay, and then I give student 1. Okay, and then likewise, I'm gonna just copy and paste this one here. Okay, all right. So and then student 2. So I need to know. I want to know where these two instances. Okay, so these are called instances, objects or object instances, also called instances. Okay, instances of the object. Okay, so here, see, what I'm doing here is, see, I am trying to find, I want to know which location memory they are in. Okay, so last time I talked about, how those variables are made in, created in memory, right? So they have some idea, as I explained earlier, okay, so anyway, let me run this, okay, and then I'll explain in a moment. Okay? So see here, let's see what happens. See now, see these are the memory addresses. These are memory addresses. Okay? See, are they the same or are they different? They're different, right? Of course, right? See, up to here the numbers are same, but from here, they're different, right? So that means these are 2 different objects. These are 2 different objects being created in memory. Okay, so let me take a pause here, okay, and then try to explain in figure. Drawing some pictures here. Okay, so what we did just now. Okay, we just did in code. So I'm gonna explain that here. Okay, so do you still see my screen? Has the screen changed? Do you see some kind of pink background? Confirm.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great, thank you. Just wanted to confirm. Okay, all right. So here now look at this. So what we just did, okay, was we created a master copy, right? So student, right? Student, right? So so we created a class, okay, class called student, right? So here it's like we created a master copy. So this is a master copy, see, okay? So this is a student master copy. So from here, what we did was we used this, okay, to make what? To make 2 copies of this, right? So make 2 copies of this, right? Okay. So so let's call it. So this is the student. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So this is the. All right. So let's. I'm going to write it outside of the box. So this inside it. When I'm trying to write inside it, it's kind of messing it up. So, okay, so, all right, so I'll call this student, right? It's the class, okay? This is the class. This is the master copy, right? Okay, so this is the master copy, okay? So now we made 2 copies of this. So this is what? Student 1 and student 2, right? So these are 2 copies. So basically, okay, so when I'm saying here, so you saw how this I was done in code, right? So what I did here, right here, okay? So I'm trying to print the ID of the student, and ID means where's the memory location. So now you have memory. Memory means RAM. Okay, RAM. Everybody knows RAM, right? So everything, all of these are being created and being, destroyed in memory, okay, inside the memory. So so for example, this is our RAM. So for example, this is our RAM. Okay, so RAM is divided into a lot of different, cells. Okay, something called cells. Okay, memory cells. Okay, so okay, sorry. See, oops, kind of messing up. Okay, all right. Let's see. Yeah. Oops. Okay, anyway, so okay, so for example, if this is a memory, right? Rather, okay, I need to change the settings. So let's see if I can change that setting right now. 1 second. Okay. So let's see, intershape probably. Okay, all right. So now it should work. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Oops. Okay. All right. So let me try again. Object snapping. Okay. All right. So let's try it here, okay? So for example, this is your RAM, right? This is your RAM. So RAM is divided into a lot of these different, divisions, okay? So these cells, okay? So all of these, these variables, right? Those objects, okay? Those objects are being created inside the, inside RAM. So this is RAM, the memory, right? This is RAM. Okay, so, and then each of these cells, so these are called cells, okay? So these are cells, okay? Each of these cells have an address. So that's why RAM is called addressable memory, okay? So here, each of these has a cell, each of this cell has an address, a unique address. So once because if we know the address, we can directly jump to that, location in memory. Okay, so for example, so I know the address to this cell, right? So I can directly jump to that. So that's why it's called, that's the reason it's called random access, because those cells can be accessed randomly, okay, not sequentially. Okay, anyway. So when I did this, see ID string 1, ID string 2, that means it's giving me the address of this. For example, this student 1 could be here, right? And then this student could be somewhere else in the memory. So that's why we have 2 different, see? That's why you see these different addresses, okay? You see these different addresses, right? This address is different from this address, see? So that's why, see? And now that, so you know that these are 2 different objects. These are not the same objects. Okay, we'll see an example of, variables pointing to the same object in a moment. But for now, you just we have verified. Okay, we have verified that these are, excuse me, 2 different objects. Okay. All right. So now we can also verify another way. Another way is the is keyword. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's try this. Okay, rather I'll do it in a new code block. So here, now if I say, now we have 2 objects, right? We have 2 objects, student 1 and student 2, right? So now I want to know whether they are the same objects, right? So sometimes, they might be pointing to the same object, so you don't know, okay? So let's see, let's try it out. So student 1, okay, is, okay, student 2, sorry, student 2, sorry, okay, here. So when I do student 1 is student 2, okay, so is an operator. Is an operator, okay, so which is a keyword. So this gives, if those objects, if those two objects, student 1 and student 2, if they are the same, it will give you true. If they are different, it'll give me false, right? So what do you think it'll give me? Okay, now can you try to answer that? What do you think I'll get? True or false? You want to try? Okay, good, very good. Sriyana and Marina. Yeah, both of you are correct. Yeah, it should give me false because as we saw that, right? Because see, our the memory address is different, right? Of course, if they were the same object, the location in memory would have been the same, right? So of course you both of you are correct. Okay, Sriyana and Marina both see. I got false, right? Okay, very good. All right, so now you understand, okay, basically now you understand what class is, what are objects, and then, also how to check the, memory addresses, where they reside in memory, okay? Also, you know how to test whether two objects are the same object or or are they different objects, right? So I'll pause here, okay? And then if you have any questions, please ask. Okay, so if anything is not clear, if you want me to, repeat again, okay, I'll do that. Okay, because this is some kind of a new concept for you. I know, right? So I know initially it's hard. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Any questions? Okay, looks like there's no kinds of questions, right? Okay, very good. So it looks like all of you understood very well. Okay, so now let's try to see. Okay, now let's try again. Now this class, this is student class. It has nothing in it, right? See, it was like a skeleton. There's no meat in it, right? So now let's try something else. Okay. So one thing you need to understand is that every class, classes in general. Okay, so they have two things. Okay, normally they have two things. They are called properties. Okay, and methods. Okay, see, so those of you who have gone through my previous course, okay, I have used this word a lot of times, methods, because we used a lot of methods, but we didn't know what the, you guys didn't know what methods were formally, but you guys, having gone through the first course, right? So you have used it, okay, a lot of them, but you haven't been formally introduced to them yet. Okay, so now you're gonna, you're gonna know. Okay, it will be clear what methods are. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so as I said, okay, every class, okay, classes have what? Properties and methods. Okay, what are they? So properties means these properties, they hold data values. Okay, so they hold, okay, data values. Okay, and then method means what? Method means they do some action. Sorry, do some action. Okay, so hold data values. Okay, what does this mean? Okay. We're going to, once you look at the example, then you will know. For example, if it's the student class, okay, what kind of data would you store in, store about the student? Maybe their name, right? Their date of birth, maybe their address, their telephone, right? And then what level they study, right? All these guys. So those are what? Those are properties, right? Okay. So those are properties. Properties means they carry some information about the, about the object. Okay, so once the objects are created, so normally properties, the values of properties are given in the instances. Okay, you'll see that. Okay, don't worry about it too much right now. Okay, so methods on the other hand, okay, they're about doing something. Okay, so for example, if it's a string method, okay, for example, we want to upgrade their level. Okay, or say we uh, uh, so for example, do homework. Okay, that could be a method. Or level up. Okay, that could be another. Okay, so okay, we have 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll come back, once this session ends. So we'll take 5 minutes break, just like before. We used to do that. So, and then come back to the, using the same credentials. You can come back after 5 minutes, after the session ends. Okay, so here, so methods do some action. Means, for example, study. Okay, if it's a student class, it could be the study could be a method, or level up or grade up could be another method, right? Or play, okay, could be another method, right? So basically now, normally properties are nouns. Okay, see, these are, the whole value means they are normally names, right? So some kind of name, right? For example, noun, rather, let's call it noun. So those are nouns. See, name is a noun, right? Address is a noun. Telephone number is a noun, right? So those kind of things. And whereas methods are generally what? They're verbs, because we're talking about action here, right? See? So those are normally verbs. Okay. So now you need to, so this is it's fundamental. These are the fundamental stuff. So you need to really, really, you know, um, remember this, sink it in your, in your head. So what these two things mean. So, okay. So properties and methods. Okay. So in terms of properties, okay, we have properties can be of two types, let's say. Okay. So there are, okay, when we say the whole data values, so we need some kind of variable, right? So in order to hold data values, we need some kind of variable. So those data values are stored in some variable. Okay, so let's say, for example, okay, before I give you an example, let's just go further into this. So properties can be what? They can be of two types. Okay, two types, which are, okay. So one is the class variable. Okay, they can be stored in class variable, or instance or object variable. Normally called instance or object variable. They are generally the same thing. Okay, instant variable. Okay, instance variable. Okay, so because you guys know class and the instance. Instance is object, right? The copy. Class is the original, right? Master copy. Instance is the copy of that original. Okay, just remember that. Okay, so now we have class variable and instance variable. Okay, all right. So let's try to see what they are. Okay, what is a class variable and what is an instance variable? Okay, so here now, let's see. Now I'm going to create another code block here. Okay, so here, see now, I'll use the same class. Okay, I'm going to put something in there, right? Okay, let's see. So again, okay, class student, right? Class student colon, right? Okay, enter. Okay, here now I have to, create some properties. Okay, so properties. First, let's cover. Let's try to see what class variable mean. Okay, class variable. Okay, so we need to store some data about that student, right? So let's see, for that student, okay, what is the name of his school? Okay, we want to store this data. Okay, the data is what? The name of the school, right? So we'll just call it school. Okay, name of the school is, okay. So school is equal to, okay. And then, for example, here, let's say, okay, School of Data Science. Okay, all right. So now, okay, So now this is what? This is a class variable, okay? So you will see in a moment why it's called a class variable, okay? So now let's do it. Let's do one thing here. Okay. Let's make an instance or object of this class, okay? Instance. So that's also called instantiation, okay? Instantiation, okay? So that means we're creating instances, okay? Creating instances or objects, right? Objects. Normally we call instances, okay? So instances, as you know, instance means example, right? So anyway, so let's try to this just like we did before, right here. See, just like this. So I'm just gonna copy and paste, right? Because it's the same code, right? So how do I instantiate? Like this, right? Student 1 equal to student, right? Student 2 equal to student, right? Okay, so now, okay, so let's run this, okay? Let's run this, okay? Yeah, it's run, it has run, right? And then let's run this one again, right? So, okay, now, let's see, okay, once we have done this one, right? Okay, so we can now, I can access, okay? So I want to know, okay, because now these both, okay, this is a copy of student, right? And student 2 is also a copy of student, right? This class student, right? So now, since we have stored this value there, right? This should be accessible, okay? This value, this value that we stored in the variable school, okay, should be accessible, you know, from here because this is just a copy of that, right? So this student 1 is a, you know, basically it's a copy of this class, right? And student 2 as well is a copy of this. So, you know, there must be some way that we should get this data back. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, for that, what do I do? Student 1 dot, okay, the dot, this is also an operator, okay? So this student 1 dot, and then school, okay? So if I do this, okay, let's see what happens. See, it gives me, see? So when I did this, it gave me back what? The value, okay? The school, see? School of Data Science, right? So likewise, so we can try the same thing with another instance, student 2, right? Student 2 dot school, okay? Let's try this, okay? See, you're getting the same, right? Because these both are copies of what? Copies of this, so they both are kind of, you know, they have inherited, right? This variable, right? School variable, and then inside the school variable, there's this value, right? So, uh, so, so, so that's the reason we are able to access this way, right? Okay, all right. So now, so this is the okay. Now, what is a class variable? The class variable means the class variables are, you know, common, or they are shared by all the instances of the class. So if you define the class variable, then those are accessible through the instances, okay, all the instances of that class, okay, as you saw that, right? Okay, so it's common, because there are no individual values, okay? But okay, this when I talk about the instance, okay, instance variable, then it will be even more clear. Okay, so you'll see the contrast between this and the class variable and the instance variable. Okay? Before I can describe the instance variable, I need to describe the method, the init method, because normally instance variables are defined within. Okay, they are defined inside the init method. Okay, so init means so let me explain something here. Okay, so okay, just give me a second. Let me clear this. Okay. So so something called init method. Init means this is okay. This is a built-in method. Built-in means it's already, you know, So there, so sorry, so something like this, okay? So you have two underscores, right? Two underscores, and then you have init, and then followed by two underscores. So this is the init method, okay? So now this is also called underscore, okay? So one is called what? One is one of them. So this is what? Underscore, right? Underscore, right? As you know, right? And then these two, when these two are combined, two underscores are combined, we can call it underscore, right? Under. Okay. So we have how many? Two underscores, four underscores, but two underscores. So this is a underscore, okay, and that's a underscore. Okay, so just remember when I say underscore, that's what I mean. Okay, so it's like a underscore, init underscore. So this is a special method. Okay, so this is a what? Special method. Okay, so I briefly, mentioned, told you what method are. Method are what? Actions, right? Which are defined within the class, right? Okay, so now normally these instance variables are defined within the init method. Okay, let's see how we can create a init method, right? And then you will see. Okay. All right. So normally, okay, let me quickly. Okay, it's better to go with with an example. Okay. So rather than copy and pasting, I think it's better to just type it off so that you see, you can follow through easily. Okay. Let's see here. So okay, now I'm going to create, an init method, right? Init method is a special method. Okay, I know you guys are still not fully familiar with method, but as I go on, it will become clearer. Okay, so don't feel like lost or something. Okay, so you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay, I can assure you that. Okay, all right. So now again, okay, again I'm gonna create the class, okay, which is the name of the class is student, as always, as before, right? We have colon, right? Enter, we have the indentation right there. Okay, and then now I am trying to create the init method. Okay, uh, init method. Okay, so which is a special method, right? So how do I always? So now before I actually write the init method. Okay, let me tell you that method are basically they are functions. Okay, those of you who have gone through my previous course, right, fundamentals, they know that function, right? They know about functions, right? So it's basically a function. Method is a function, but method are functions that are defined within classes, right? If your methods are defined if your functions, if the function is defined inside a class, then it's called a method. Okay, it's basically a function. Okay, it's just like a normal function. Okay, but if that function is defined within a class, then it's called a method. Okay, it's just a method. This is just a matter of terminology. Okay, all right. So I'm creating this function. Basically, this is a function. So how do you define a function? DEF keyword, right? Okay. So if you're not familiar with functions, please go back to the videos. Okay, there's one video on functions. Please watch that. Okay, and it'll be all clear. So as has been described in that video. Okay, the functions are created with the keyword def. Okay, exactly just like that. You cannot have the D capital or something. Okay, that would work. Okay, because it's a keyword. Okay, and then now I give the name of the function. What is the name of the function? My name of the function is the underscore init, right? See, the underscore init. Okay, init is something like initialize. Okay, it's a short form for initialization. Right? Initial means the initial, the starting value. Okay, all right, and then every function has a, after the name there's a parenthesis, right? Okay, If you are not familiar with Python functions, please go and please watch that video. Okay, watch the video on YouTube. My video. Okay, on YouTube on Python fundamentals course. Okay, so this is how you define a function, right? Def, name of the function. What is the name of the function? Underscore init underscore, right? And we have this, a pair of parentheses, okay, parentheses, and then okay. Now here we put parameters, something called parameters. So every method, normally the methods in Python, okay, normally these are called instance methods. Okay? So there are three kinds of methods as well. Okay, there's the class method, there's instance method, and there's static methods. But you don't have to worry about those others. Okay, for now, let's just focus on the instance methods. Okay, so every instance method. So this is also an instance method. So every instance method takes as the first parameter the keyword self. Okay, so it takes self as the first parameter. Okay, and the second parameter, and after that, you can define your own parameters. Okay, whatever data you want to take in. Okay, so for example, I want to take in, for example, name, and then level. Okay, or grade. Let's say grade. So I want to, I want these two variables here, right? And then after that, here, enter, and then what do? I do self, okay, self dot, right? Self dot, okay, whatever you have here, because you have self. Normally, you have to use self is a standard key, kind of a keyword, right? So this, whatever you put in here, okay, should be here as well. Okay, all right. So now self dot, and then let's say name is equal to name. Okay, so okay, and then again, self dot grade is equal to grade. Okay, so this will make sense in a moment. For now, I know you guys are confused. Okay, so rather, I think let's use a different, name. Okay, so because just to differentiate between all the okay, this is perfectly fine. Okay, but just so that you don't get confused, let's just say input name and input grade. Okay, and then here we need to use input name, right, and input grade, right? Okay, so now okay, so this will all begin to it'll make sense because I will explain this in detail anyway. I'm gonna go into detail on this. Okay, so don't worry too much about this right now. Okay, so okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, all right, so here, okay, now we have defined the init method. Okay, so this is the method. This is the whole thing. This is an init method. Okay, so init method is also called a constructor. Okay, sorry, constructor. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, it will all be clear in a moment. Okay, it's going to be clear. Okay, I'm going to explain everything. Okay, it will take time. Yeah, but I'll take my time to explain it. Okay, so let's first see what it does. Okay, and then these two variables, self.name and self.grade, they're called instance variables. Okay? So these two are instance variables. Okay, so this is an instance variable, that's another instance variable. Okay, all right. So let's first look at what this code does. Okay, okay. So let's put this to use. Okay, and then I'll go back and explain this. Right. Okay, so just like before, now we need to instantiate. Okay, now let's create some, okay, create two instances. Okay, instances means objects, right? The copies, okay, of student class, right? Okay, Now, how do you do that? Okay, can somebody give me the, you have seen it a couple of times, right? So can somebody try to, give me the code as to how we can, create the instance. Let's say the name of the instance is student1. So what do I do? Student1 is equal to, what do I do? Can somebody try? It's okay if if you're not sure. Or you can just, even if you're wrong, okay? So you can just give it a try. Okay, great. Okay. I got something in chat. Let's see. Excellent, Marina. Yeah, very good. Okay, there's a little problem. Do you? Yeah. Yana, no. Yana, both of you. Okay, you're close. You're pretty close. Both of you are very close. Without the one. Are you? Yes, Rihanna. Yeah. So yeah, but there's a little problem. Both of you. Okay, very good. Nice. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Okay, but so there's the only problem is the case. Okay, the lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so okay, so let's see. So Farina. So let me just type it up. Let's see. This is Farina's answer. Okay, so this is Farina's answer. And then let's see. Uh, this is Sriyana's answer. Okay. So okay, let's see. Okay, this is a very slight problem, not a big deal. I mean, because you guys are just learning, so yeah, I can understand. Okay. See now, yeah, you're very close. You're very close. So here, okay, I'll try to correct both of you. Okay. So now, yeah, of course, Sriyana said that. Yeah, she meant this. Okay, without the one. Okay. All right. So the correct one is this. Okay. So now remember that your S is small in the instance. In the instance, your S is small, right? Your S is small. Okay. But in the class, your S is capital, right? So normally classes always it's a it's a convention. Okay. It's a convention that class names are class names usually, normally in Python, class names start with a capital letter. Okay, just remember that. Python classes, class names, normally all the, no, I mean, you can start with a small letter and it's still, it will run, everything will be fine, but, but you need to follow the convention, the standard. Okay? The convention is that you need to name your class, name your class name should start with a capital letter. So sticking with that tradition or convention, right? So we have, see, if I go back up there, right? See, all these, see right here, see, like S is capital, right? Everywhere, wherever I have defined class, S, I mean, I have started with a capital letter, right? So, all right. So now, student, student, right? So this is the name of the class, right? See, I mean, the only problem with both of you was see, only thing was it should have been what? Capital, right? And then in Parina's case, there should not be this, right? And then here, this should be small, right? And yeah, in Yana's case, Sriyana's case, you're fine. Okay, so yeah, I'm very close, but yeah, very good. Very good. Good understanding. I mean, so you picked it up, right? Okay. So and then always when you're instantiating, so this is what we're instantiating means we are creating a copy. What are we doing here? Creating a copy, right? Creating a copy of a class student, right? That's what we're doing, right? Okay, so this is a copy. String one is a copy of student, right? But now, okay, so now, okay, now I'm gonna try to explain what a constructor is. So now, when you are making a copy like this, right? Now, when you make a copy like this, right? I mean, when you're instantiating, so this method, this init method gets called, right? Automatically, okay, which is called invoked, right? So this init method is invoked or run automatically, okay? So when you see you're trying to instantiate this, right? You're trying to make an instance of this, right? Okay, then see, this method will be, run, right? Which is called invoked, right? So this method will be invoked automatically, right? So now when this method, so as you know from the previous, previous course, right? So when you invoke a method or a function, so this is just a function, right? So when you invoke a function, then you need, when you call, it's like calling this function. This because we didn't explicitly call it, but when you instantiate it, this got called automatically, right? So always remember that, from the previous course, we know that whenever we call a function, we need to provide, right? We need to provide the what? The arguments, right? Arguments according to what this expects. See, this is expecting three values: one value, another value, and another value. We need to give it three values, right? Which are called what? Arguments, right? So we need to give three arguments. So here we need to give three arguments, right? Inside here. It won't work. See, if I run it like this, it won't work because see, now this got called, but I didn't provide these three values because see, there's nothing here. So this will see. Let me just run it and so, okay. I think I didn't run this. Okay, now let's run this. See, it gave me an error, right? Because see, now see what it says here. Init method is missing two required positional arguments. See, I need to provide two arguments, this input name and input grade, which I have not provided. See, now see, this is part of the contract. So this is something called contract. The contract is that whenever I call this, I need to give at least this and this. Okay, now I'll talk about this in a moment. Okay, but I didn't provide. That is the reason I get this what? I get this error, right? Now, how do I provide this? So now, self. First thing I need to provide is the self, right? The value for self. Okay, but okay. So now that self is, self, is passed. So something called, it's called something called pass. Okay, so self is passed automatically. Okay, self is passed automatically. So what gets passed? The instance. So this, so when you're doing this, right? So the instance, this instance, right, gets passed. Okay, so the self will be student one. Okay, I'll show you that in a moment in the in the whiteboard. Okay, so now apart from that, okay, self for self, this value, okay, this instance will be passed automatically, so we don't have to worry about that. So now, but we need to provide these two values. That's what it's talking about, that error message, right? So now let's give these two values. Okay, let's say the name of the student is, say, okay, what should I give? For example, Mike. Okay, let's say Mike Tyson. Okay, all right. And then I need to give his grade, right? Input grade. What grade he's in? Let's say he's in grade 5, right? Okay, all right. All right. Now I'm going to create another student. Okay, student 2, right? Student 2. I'm making another copy, right? Student 2 is equal to student, right? And then I can give another name to this, right? So let's say Sarah, okay? Whatever, okay? All right. And then let's say she's in grade 4, right? Okay, see, now I created another copy. See, I created 2 copies, right? 2 copies of what? Student class, right? Okay, now let's run it, right? So I'm going to run it. See, it didn't give me any error, so it worked fine, right? So now I created 2. Now if I want to know, okay, for example, okay, I want to know what, what the name of the student. I want to know the name of student 1. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, so for that, what do I do? Okay, student 1, student 1 dot, and then it's here name, right? Self dot name. Okay, we'll talk about self name. So name is the you can refer to this by name. Okay, so name. Okay, so let's try to print it. String1 dot name. Okay. See, it gave me Mike Tyson. See, string1 has the name Mike Tyson, right? So if I likewise, if I do what student2. Okay, I want to know the name of student2. What do I do? Okay, so what do I expect? What do you expect? Sarah Cooper, right? See, yeah, Sarah Cooper, right? So if I want to know the grade, okay, grade of student1, what grade that student is in? Okay, so let's see, student1, see 5 as expected, right? So student2 grade, I do grade, then what do I get? 4, right? See, now you have stored these values. Now these two are instances, right? String1 is an instance, string2 is an instance. See, now that's why it's called the instance variable. See, these two, okay, this is this is an instance variable, this is an instance variable. Now, why do we call it instance variable? Because those, you are storing the values of the instances, right? Unique to the instances, see, right? For example, the same variable name, okay? So for student1, it's Mike Tyson. For student2, it's Sarah Cooper, right? So same, see, you have one variable, grade, right? But it's unique to the instance, right? It's tied to the instance, basically, right? See, student1, the grade of student1 is 5, and the grade of student2 is 4, right? See, you can store different values according to the instance. Okay, now contrast this with this one. Now here, for both, see, for both, you can see student.1.school and student2.school. They both give you the same, same result, right? So it's not tied to the instance, it's tied to the class, the original, right? It's tied to the original. That's why it's called instance variable. That's why it's called a class variable. Means it's tied to the class, right? So when you invoke or when you try to print this class variable, for all the instances you get the same value, right? That's why it's tied to the class, right? But here now it's not tied to the class. It's tied to what? Self is the instance. See, as I said, this instance gets passed here, and then see, and then you are calling that on the instance, right? So that's why it's called the instance. So these are called the not these two. Okay, this name and grade. Okay, name and grade are the instance variables because they are tied to the instance because they the value of them depend on the instance. Okay, all right. So does it kind of make sense? Okay, so now let me explain further. Okay, let me explain further. Okay, over here, let's see. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, all right, clear. Okay, now here. Okay, so let me try to explain this. Okay, let me just write the code by hand and try to explain. Okay, all right. So what did we do? Okay, here. Okay, I'll explain it again. Okay, so what we did was what this class, right? Class, right? And then we have the name of the class is student. Okay, and then colon, right? And then here, excuse me. So what did we do? We defined the what? We defined the init method, right? The constructor, also called a constructor, right? Init method, right? So we have something, okay, inside the parenthesis colon, right? So here we have what? Self, always, the first argument is always self, okay, for because this is instance method, right? And then I'll just call it rather because I need a lot. There's not much space here, so I'll just put N for name and Z for grade. Okay, all right. So these are anyway. You just need to give the valid variable names. Okay. So and then what do I have? I have what? Self, right? Dot name, right? Self dot name is equal to what should I put? N, right? And then self dot grade is equal to Z. Okay. All right. So now when you're instantiating, right? So let me write this instantiation down here. So when I try to create the instance of this, right? So what do I do? What did I do? I did what? Student S is small, right? Student one is equal to what did I do? S capital, right? Student, right? And then what did I pass? Name was what? Mike. I'll just write Mike, okay? Mike. And the grade was what? 5, whatever. Okay. All right. So when I did this, now this is called instantiation, of course, right? So when I did this, so when this code runs, right? Of course, you should run this code before you run this, of course, right? So you run this code, right? Run this code. After that, you run this code, right? So when you run this code, then what happens? As I said before, this method, okay, this whole thing, right? This method gets called, right? So you're calling this method. When you call this method, you need to give these 3, values for these 3 parameters, which are called arguments, right? So here, but we are passing 2 arguments. So, okay, so what happens is, so this, when you're calling this, you need to provide basically 3 arguments, but you're providing here 2 arguments, right? So what about the, what about this self? So this self, this get passed automatically. Okay, so it's as if, right? So when you're calling this, so this gets passed. Okay, this gets passed automatically. Okay, so instance self is the instance. Okay, this is the instance. So you're passing instance the string 1. Okay, automatically here, right? As the value for self will be string 1. Okay, this the instance, right? And then Mike. Okay, so this value will go where? Okay, rather use a different pen. Oh, sorry. Okay, so let me use a different pen. Maybe let's see. About this one here. So this value, okay, this Mike, okay, this gets passed to N, the variable N, and then this value 5 is passed to what? Z. Okay, all right. So what happens is this self. So what is the value of self? Can somebody tell me? What is the value for self? And okay, when this code runs, what is the value of self? Can somebody try? I think I just explained it. You want to try? Okay, no problem. So as I said, you see, okay, here are a couple of chats here. Let's see. Yes, excellent. Yeah, Marina, Roshan. Yeah, both of you are correct. Yeah, very good. So yeah, so the the self, gets the value what? This student 1, the instance, right? And what is the value for N? Of course, Mike, right? Okay, and what's the value for Z? It's of course 5, right? Now, okay, let's see. Now, self will be string 1, N will be Mike, Z will be 5, right? Okay, now what happens now? Now, okay, we go down here, right? We go down here, okay. So let me just, just get rid of all these, okay? It's cluttering up, okay? Just let's see. Let me make it a little bit cleaner, okay? All right, just give me a second. Yeah, much cleaner now. Yeah. So now we know that self the value of self is string 1, value of n is Mike, and value of g is 5, right? Okay, so now after that, we go here, right? And then see, we have this instance variable, right? Self.name means self.name will be like string because self is string 1, right? So this effectively is what? It's effectively what? Student 1, right? SK small, the instance, right? String 1 dot name. So basically, isn't this because self is student 1, then we can replace self with string 1, right? Okay, so string 1 dot name is equal to what? Name n was what? Mike, right? N was Mike, right? So what is it? Mike, right? Likewise, what? Likewise, now we go down here. We have what? Self dot grade, right? So self is what? Self is string 1, right? Okay, so it will be what? Student, right? 1 dot grade, right? Grade is equal to what? Can somebody tell me? Z. What is the value of Z? Can somebody tell me what is the value of Z? You want to try? Okay, yes. There's something in chat. Okay, excellent. Yeah. Parina and Sriana, both of you are correct. Yeah. 5, right? Very good. Yeah. 5. See. Now when we printed this, see, now let's go down and let's go back to the code. Okay. See, now that's exactly what we did here. See, now see, string one dot grade, we got 5, right? String 2 dot grade, we got 4. String 1 dot name, we got Mike Tyson, and then string 2 dot name, Sarah Cooper. See, that's exactly what it is, right? Isn't that so? Right? See, that's how it's done. Okay, so